Welcome to Who's the Daddy with Alexandra K, the podcast where we discuss all things single mom by choice. Today, I'm joined by Lori. You want to say hi, Lori?
Hi everyone.
And Lori has a very interesting story, so we're going to go ahead and get started.
Yes.
All right, so Lori, tell us how you came to the decision of becoming a single mom by choice. Like, how old were you? Were you just like joking and then it became serious, or were you always serious? Like, what was it?
At first, it came to my mind when I was about to turn 30 years old, and I was like, what if I just did it by myself? Like the thought just came to my head. And then I think what really validated it was like maybe a few moments later, I asked my mom and I was like, Mom, what if I decided to have a baby by myself? I did not know what to do. I didn't know what that looked like or anything. And she was like, that would be great. Like, I would love that. Like,
what year was this? What year was this?
This was probably 2021, early mid 2021.
Okay.
And from that, I was like, oh my gosh. I told my dad. He was like, yeah, that's fine. My sister already had 2 kids. And they were like, that's perfect. Like, however you want to do it. So then we didn't know how to get there. And I didn't know the journey would be as long as it was. But I finally got there. And yeah, that was the thought process. I was turning 30 and I was thinking to myself, what if I just did it? I don't know anybody yet. And, I know it can happen. But
yeah,
I mean, what if?
So what was going on that made you think like, what if? Because you said you hadn't met anyone, like you were. Yeah. I guess I'm assuming you weren't dating.
No, I wasn't.
Okay,
dude. It was terrible. It was kind of a rocky, And I was like, and the guys that I had been seeing weren't anyone that I would feel safe with having a child with. Yeah. So I think what it triggered that thought, I think I saw like a little TikTok and it was just like, it was either TikTok or Instagram. It was like little baby feet. And I was like, oh my God, I want a baby, but wait, how can I do this by myself? And then that's kind of how it started. Yeah.
Yeah. I always tell people, I'm like, no, I was literally looking up single mom on purpose and like trying to figure out like, wait, how do people do this?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there are single moms on purpose. Like,
yeah.
You know what
people
I mean?
that like did it. Yeah. And I think from there, that's when I started doing my research and from there. And that's when I found the community and I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. So, okay. So you said that you had conversations with your mom, your dad, and your sister, and everybody was supportive.
Everybody was on board. Yeah.
So did you ever have a conversation with anyone who was not supportive?
Absolutely. Like more so friends.
Well, I was going to say people that you actually like value the opinions of.
Okay. Yeah. I had some friends that I would talk to this about and they'd be like, are you sure? Like, you're still really young. And I don't think people knew that I had a pregnancy loss when I was 24. I had a spontaneous pregnancy and I had a miscarriage at like 6 or 7 weeks. And that really tore me down. I think after that, I was looking into like adoption, but I didn't know when I was 24 that you could be a single mother by choice. I didn't know that. And I think if I did, I would have pursued it a lot quicker. But so I had the pregnancy loss. So my desire to be a mom was there in those years between 24 and 30, but I just didn't know. I was like, I'll probably meet somebody. Like, it'll probably just happen like that. And then I just got to the point where I was like, I want to do it by myself. Like, I'm just going to try to do this by myself.
Well, I kept thinking like, wait a minute. I have to meet someone and get pregnant. And like, I don't have enough time to meet someone.
You need that time to trust them.
Yes. It's not like a year.
Yeah, it's not.
And maybe I'm just like a slow mover. I need like 5. Maybe 10.
You need to be able to trust. You need to be able to trust everything with this person that you're deciding to have a child with. And I'm like, if you don't have that, either don't have a child and wait, or go after single mother by choice.
Yeah.
And in this lifetime for me, I was like, I'd rather be a mother before a wife. I don't know. Yeah.
And the thing is, people have multiple marriages.
They do.
Like, so like someone who got married at 20 and said, you know what, this is not working for me. And then they get married at 35. Like, I mean, we could just be the 35-year-olds getting married or the 40-year-olds getting married. Like, there's no one saying you have to be married by a certain point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, nothing is 100% guaranteed either.
No.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, even with this journey of like trying to get to a single mother by choice, it's nothing is guaranteed. And I think a lot of people go into this thinking that sometimes they will just get the baby so quick, or they'll get the baby sooner than they thought they would, and then they run into issues. And we'll get into that with me.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
culturally, do you feel like you had to like navigate anything with this journey culturally?
Like being a Black woman?
Yeah.
I think navigating
But
in my
but haven't you said that you're Cuban also?
yeah, so yeah, I have Cuban heritage as well. So yeah, being like Black and Latina, you know, people just think, especially like the older generation, they think like, you know, you can just easily just find somebody, or like a lot of people always would suggest me to just go get knocked up by a random guy.
Yeah.
They're like,
or they'll be like, you're a pretty girl. What do you mean? And I'm
and
like,
it's like, well,
that doesn't mean I want to deal with the bullshit.
Right. I mean, and it's non-traditional. And I always say this now, it's non-traditional, but it's a path that I am happy with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you would never do it. Like, you know, there's people that say, "Oh, I could never." And I'm like, yeah, that's why you're not doing it.
Yeah.
This is something that took thought. It took years. It took a lot of consideration. A lot. It didn't just happen overnight.
No. Yeah.
And once I swallowed that, there had to be a lot of navigating. There was just times where I was like, "Dang, I have to buy sperm," and people are getting it for free, and these cycles are not working.
Do you know that my reproductive endocrinologist put as one of the like factors of my infertility, lack of sperm?
Yeah, mine put male, lack of partner, male, absent male, or something like that.
Yeah.
That was my infertility diagnosis.
Like, thanks,
at
girl.
First. Yeah.
Okay, so when you were choosing your donor, how did you? You don't have to share like which sperm bank you used.
Yeah.
But, like, how did you choose your sperm bank? You did use a sperm bank donor, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how did you choose your sperm bank, and then what were your like criteria for choosing your donor?
Yeah. So basically, when I came to sperm banks, I was more so in the Facebook groups, and then I was already following a couple of single mothers by choice, and they had like discount codes. So I think I had a discount code for Seattle, California, and Fairfax. So as I was looking through all three of those sites, I will say the bank that I used, which I don't mind. I ended up going with Fairfax. I felt like that was the most aligned with what I needed, and they had the most donors that I could use. I wanted to make sure that the genetic testing was pretty clean, because I had gotten genetic, or not clean, but just basically, negative for a lot of genetic diseases, specific diseases like sickle cell, or like any type of like Hashimoto's or anything like that. And then because I got genetic testing and all that stuff came back negative for me. There's one for like 200 genetic disorders. There's one for 500, I think. And I think with Fairfax, it was the 200, and the donor I picked was negative for all 200. I got the same exact test. It was negative for those. It was a pretty much clean bill of health. That was what I was going for. I definitely wanted somebody with brown hair, brown eyes, preferably my skin tone, but there was not any donors available at that time that fit the criteria. So I ended up going with a mixed race donor. So yeah, and that's kind of how I picked my donor, and I stayed there. I went through. First, I picked a donor, but then he ended up being anonymous. He didn't want the so I was like, okay, I got to pick another one. And then the donor that I picked second was the donor I ended up going with all of my cycles that I had to go through to get to the pregnancy that I have now.
Wow. So you've never switched donors?
No, I never switched donors. And I was encouraged to switch donors by the second clinic I went to. They're like, oh, your cycle probably didn't work because of the donor. And I was just like, well... Really? I got pregnant with an IUI from this donor, and I still have vials.
How many vials did you buy? Did you buy all of your vials up front?
No, I bought them each time.
Okay. So you ended up you did IUIs.
I did one IUI.
One IUI.
In May of 2022, I got pregnant, and we did Clomid. I got pregnant, and no injections, just Clomid, and they were monitoring me. I got pregnant, but my beta was super low, ended up being an ectopic pregnancy.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like my health providers were treating it right. They gave me methotrexate, but they told me to wait a week and see, like, from there. I didn't have health insurance either. So they told me to wait, and I was scared because I was like, okay, it could rupture at any time.
Yeah.
They told me if it ruptures, if you feel a lot of pain, go to the ER. But I went to the ER. I just went to the ER, and I was like, they gave me methotrexate. My beta kept going up. I was in pain. I was like, just take the tube out. And the hospital, they ended up just taking out my left tube completely.
Wow. Okay. So then you did one IUI. They removed your left tube, fallopian tube, and then you moved to IVF.
Yes, I had to wait 3 months because when you
Oof,
have methotrexate, you have to wait 3 months. So I didn't have insurance, so I had to work at Amazon.
girl.
So I got a job at Amazon super quick. So I was working there for 5 months, and then I went into my first IVF cycle, November 2022. So it was the same year, but a few months later, November
I feel
2022.
like I remember watching all of this happen.
Yes, he did. We got 11 eggs. I think.
Yes, I always want to know stats. Like, tell me.
Yeah,
So,
11
okay, so
eggs,
you got 11 retrieved. How many
11 retrieved.
fertilized?
I think 2 fertilized. He told me they damaged one of my eggs with ICSI. They said, yeah, we damaged your egg. Like when we
What
were
does
trying to
that
get it.
mean?
Right. I think when they tried to puncture it, my
Yeah.
egg just messed up and
Oh,
they couldn't use the egg.
gosh.
So I had 2 fertilized,
Okay.
and then none of them made it to blast. None of them. None of them. So that was a bust cycle
Okay, so that's cycle number 1.
for IVF. Yeah.
And
So
that
that
was
was
November of 22, you said?
22. Yes. And I didn't get to the transfer stage. So we had to just call it quits. And after that, I was so broken because I'd worked at Amazon overnight for so long. And even though Amazon covered most of it and the meds and everything like that, it was still hard, because my
Yeah.
heart, I still wanted,
Yeah.
I just had an ectopic pregnancy. And I'm like,
And also, like,
I want my baby.
given the perfect conditions, that embryo would have been a human.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I don't know.
So
I could, I was
it's
like, yeah, this
difficult.
lab is probably, I don't know. It could be my eggs, but also the lab, I didn't really trust the lab, and then they had all these hidden fees that I didn't really care about, so I ended up switching clinics.
I was gonna say, did you change anything else? Did they change your protocol or anything else?
I didn't go back to them. I didn't go back to them. I was just done after that, and I took a break. 2023, I just took a break. I went traveling. I had to get my soul back because I was so broken from that ectopic pregnancy. And then all my friends were popping up with children, and I'm like, I'm going through the storm. Like I'm crying. My heart is just literally broken. When I had my ectopic pregnancy,
You're going to be so obsessed when you hold your baby.
Let
me just tell you. You're going to be so obsessed.
I'm like, I've been waiting for this so long. I did, 2 losses, right? So I got a job in 2023, and then I took that break. And then in 2024, summer of 2024, I jumped back in. I did IVF with a new clinic, fresh new clinic. And I got 7 eggs. And so I was a little nervous at first. Yeah, 7 retrieved. All 7 of them were mature.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We got 4 fertilized.
Okay.
And then 4 made it to day 5.
Okay.
And then I had 1 PGT normal.
Oh, no.
I know. So that was because I'm like, I'm 30. I was 32 at the time. So I'm like, most of them should come back normal, at least half minimum. And then when they said the 1, I was like, Lord, I hope it works. Just this 1 transfer.
Look, every time people tell me that and they tell me their age, like, and they're like low 30s, I'm like, what's your protocol? Like I become like a reproductive endocrinologist. How much Menopur were you on? How much Ganirelix? Like
he gave me.
I wouldn't know. What
antagonist. Is it? It was called the antagonist cycle.
Oh,
yeah, he gave me an antagonist.
I will say that one thing that I did do with my reproductive endocrinologist was put it all in her hands. Like,
okay,
whatever you tell me to do is what I'm gonna do.
And that's what I did. And he had to up my dosage a little bit. It was a little intense. And I don't know if it's because my BMI and I don't know, my 1 fallopian tube. I don't know.
So when they retrieved your eggs, they had eggs on both sides, right?
Yes, because I still have 2 ovaries.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Okay, so then you had 1 PGT normal embryo. Is that the baby you have now? Yes,
that's the baby I have now. So I waited. So this was in June 24. I had to go to Paris in Italy in, I think, September. So I was like, I don't want to be pregnant out there. I don't know.
I remember you telling me that. I was like, I just wish you would transfer that embryo.
I wanted to.
Just take the baby with you.
I know, I wanted to so bad, but like after I got pregnant, I was so sick, and I couldn't imagine being sick
and
out
tired, and you don't.
Yes, I couldn't imagine being that, and I would have probably made it to about 11 weeks when I would have went out there, and I was in the trenches. So, yes, I'm glad I waited. I did my transfer the day before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And I did test early. My friends are gonna be so mad at me. I tested early 5 days after my transfer, and you
had a positive.
Positive, yeah, a positive.
With Sloan, I tested at like day 3. Okay, so in October of 2019, I had an early miscarriage.
Oh, okay.
With an ex, but the one reason I knew I was pregnant was I would get this like really faint feeling, like I'm about to pass out.
Oh no.
But with that pregnancy, it lasted like minutes,
Okay.
But when I transferred my embryo for Sloan, I got it like for like a split second, like that same like, oh my gosh, I'm about to faint. And I was like, oh my God. I was at work. I was working at Amazon. And I was like doing something in one of the bins, and I'm like, I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
And so I tested at like day 3, and I got like the faintest line. Sidra freaked me out though, because I was using like the little cheapy test sticks, or like
the Amazon,
like like the little 50
pre-mom
count. Yes.
Yeah.
And they were so faint, they were not getting darker. And I was like, okay, no, I'm just about to get a pink dye first response.
Yeah. First response, yeah.
And there was a line. I was like, okay. Because you're scaring me there.
Yeah. And you can imagine, I know with me, I know like having loss is scary. But like when I saw that faint line, I didn't even get too excited, because I was like, I've had the faint line before and it ended tragically. So you could imagine from me seeing that test at day 5 to beta 1, from beta 2, just the anxiety, and then the first ultrasound, the anxiety that it was going on inside of me. Just to know, because
and it's interesting, like I feel like I'm obsessed with them while I'm pregnant, but I don't feel like, this is probably gonna sound bad, like a super attachment. It's like I'm very protective of them, and I know that I don't want anything to happen to them. But like the moment I see their face when they come out, it's like, it's just so different. So like, it's just very different.
It is. I can't wait till that day for me. I'm like, are
your parents excited?
They're very excited, and this is the first girl grandchild that they're getting.
Goodness!
So it's like, oh my gosh, we have all boys right now. My brother just had a boy in November, so it's all boys, and then they're gonna get this one girl.
And you're due?
I'm due in August. Yeah.
Oh, August. Okay. Ooh, okay. All right. Leo. Let's see. I know a Leo, right? Wait, what's your sign?
I'm a Scorpio. Fire and water. I think it'll be good. I have a lot of really good friends that are Leos.
One of my best friends is a Scorpio, and my grandmother was a Scorpio. I love Scorpio.
What's your sign?
I'm an Aries.
Okay. Oh, fire. Okay. Yeah. Water and fire go.
The thing is, Sloane's an Aries, Sidra's an Aquarius.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I mean, that's a nice little mix.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, think about this. So I met 3 other moms, and
your sister moms.
Yeah.
Okay, your sister moms. Yeah.
Yeah. The oldest of the kids right now that we have is 2 years old, so he's gonna hit 18 before other kids. So it's like, what if he shares the information with the
he's gonna share it. Of course, he's gonna share it.
Right.
It's funny because
18 yet, though. She'll be like maybe 16 or 15.
You could probably find your. I found my donor in real life. Did I tell you?
Yeah, you did. But
I found my donor.
I couldn't even find any moms until like 2 years after 2022.
Do you guys have a sibling registry on Fairfax?
We don't, but we have our little group chat. We found each other just because we've posted on Fairfax forum. Hey, I'm pregnant, or hey, I have a little with this donor number. So that's how we all kind of found each other. There's 4 of us right now. I think there's one where we're waiting on a response. She's currently pregnant, but I'm like, how pregnant are you? Because it's like, am I more pregnant? Or are you more pregnant? But
who's gonna have the older baby?
Right.
Who's gonna be the big sibling?
Yeah.
Like, wait, so do you know how many siblings there are?
There's right now for sure.
Each episode will take a listener question and offer some real unfiltered advice. Today's question comes from one of our listeners, and they write, Dear Alexandra, I recently announced my pregnancy in an online group for single moms by choice, and a fellow member whom I don't know personally started asking me about my donor. She wanted to know his race and which bank I used, and since I try to be open in single mom by choice spaces, I shared the information. Well, she went and found him.
Wow.
What do you mean she found him?
I know. I
Wait.
mean, those banks are so small. Like, if you type in that information, it'll just pop up.
That's why I don't talk about my donor.
I know.
What do you mean she found him? Because my donor has actually been inactive for over a year, but she kept expressing how much she wished she could use him and how great it would be if our kids were siblings. Lifetime Movie Network.
Lifetime Movie Network.
She even wanted to stay in contact, which I was fine with at first. After all, community is important in this journey. Then things got even weirder. This morning, oh gosh, it must have been, okay. This morning she messaged me insisting that my donor was actually still available. I called the bank to confirm and nope, he's still inactive. When I asked for the donor number she was looking at, it turned out she had the wrong person the entire time. Well, that's a relief.
Lifetime Movie Network.
Okay, for real. Not you try to get the same donor, you got the wrong man. Right. Now I'm left. Now I'm left feeling off. I've never experienced anything like this before. Am I overreacting to think her interest in my donor is strange? How do I handle this situation going forward? Signed, feeling weirded out. No, you're not wrong.
Yeah, no.
I'm sorry. That's a little bit. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
It's one thing to have or to share the same donor with someone. It's a very different thing for someone to want to use your donor because you use the donor and you're pregnant. Yeah. Listen, I don't even like when people simply see me and say that they want to be my friend. Like, you don't know anything about me. Why do you want to be my friend? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Why? So the fact that all you know is what I look like and you want to use the same you want our kids to be siblings?
Yeah.
No, ma'am.
What do you think? I mean, it's been a delight finding random girls like that we ended up using the same donors because we had our different reasons. It was not because, oh, you use that donor, you're in the community and I want to be connected with you and have that's our like kids the scariest attachment ever. Yeah, because it's like I don't know you. And it's like we don't own these donors, right? Like we don't own them. We can't claim them and be like, okay, it's only ours. If by chance, it happens, then by chance it happens. But to fixate on someone in the group's donor, just because they are pregnant is kind of, I think that's off a little. That's yeah. I mean, it's like there's so many people post donors every day. I'm still on California Cryobank's newsletter and they're posting a new donor every day. Yes. So it's like, so to want to use a donor that you know someone has personally used this donor and that's the only reason why you want to use him. My thing is, are you even thinking about the caliber of the decision that you're making? Yeah. To simply choose your donor based on some random girl on a Facebook or like whatever forum this was on. Yeah. Like, I know you're choosing your child's genetics and you're just basing it off of what this person wanted. You don't even know what they wanted. Yeah. And it takes a lot of consideration and time. Like it took me a long time to pick my donor, or pick the donor that I selected. It took me a lot of consideration. It took me a lot of ironing through his profile and like looking through things. It wasn't like a fickle, oh, I want my kids to be siblings with somebody I met on the site. Like, I don't know. Yeah. That's just, to me, that's a little off. Yeah. So, yeah, I definitely was digging deep into like genetics. Yeah. I had deal breakers. Like, I'm not signing anything that like on certain sperm banks, it'll tell you like whether they have like a genetic disorder. If you have a genetic disorder, it was a deal breaker for me. Yeah. I didn't want sickle cell trait. Right. The sickle cell trait. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to decide on. Yeah, it is. And just like, oh, maybe, I could pick this girl's donor just so our kids are siblings I don't think that's not a good thing to fixate on and be like, oh, that I want to do that because of that. It takes a lot more. I can see I could honestly see if this person even had purchased vials and was getting ready for a cycle, possibly, Already, but then, you mean? Yeah, it depends on where in the situation the person was. Like, if it's definitely, I mean, it's really weird for sure. Like, if they haven't even gotten started, they don't even have a clinic. It's like, come on now. That is scary. So before we wrap things up, I want to ask you a question. Now, this is a question that almost all single moms by choice get asked at some point in their process. Mm-hmm.
Who's the daddy? I know when I announced my pregnancy for Sloan, someone DM'd me asking me that.
Yeah.
And
was it a guy?
No, it was a girl.
Okay.
No, I've never had a guy ask me.
Okay. I had 2 guys ask me.
Really?
Yeah.
Guys typically will say to me like, "Oh, you're breaking up the black family." And I'm like, "My black family is very much together."
Yeah. I mean,
wait, so you had 2 guys ask you?
Yeah, so I remember
Did you respond the same?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
So, and I didn't take offense because I think I'm chronically single. And I think that they were just more so like, who's this guy? Like, who's the lucky guy, or who is the guy, like, at all? So yeah, so it was an old manager that I had when I used to work at Red Bull, and I had told him I was expecting, and he said, "Who's the daddy?" Literally, "Who's the daddy?" Which is so crazy. And I didn't take offense to it at all. And I was like, I did IVF because I had shared my journey on Facebook. Like, people knew that this was something that I wanted to do. So I said I did IVF and I used a donor. And he's like, "Oh, awesome. Congratulations." And then the second guy that asked me was one of the instructors that I used to work with at another studio. And he was like, "Well, who's the guy?" Like, I think he said, "Who's the guy?" And I was like, "I did IVF." And he was like, "Oh, okay." Because he had known the journey too. So,
do you know that 2 guys said to me, these are guys that do not know each other, said, "Oh, you let someone shoot the club up." I was just like, oh my gosh.
Do they think that you just hooked up with somebody?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh. The doctor shoot the club.
The doctor shot the club
doctor
up.
with the catheter.
She actually didn't shoot the club up. She just put one in there, but
yes. Yeah, it was an embryo, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think I've grown to explain some, just because I feel like I don't have like an obligation to educate people, but
yeah,
I don't really mind, because I always say I don't think people know how else to ask, because they're not used to asking about a donor. And so for them to say, "Who's the daddy?" is just, I mean, that they don't expect it to not be a dad.
Right, because they're like, okay, she's single.
Yeah.
Like, I guess if sometimes they want to know, like, did she just get like knocked up, or does she have a secret boyfriend that nobody knows about?
Jesus, not a secret boyfriend.
She doesn't just post her boyfriend. Like, there's a lot of girls that don't post their boyfriend. But yeah, like, I was kind of open with my journey about being a single mother by choice. I felt empowered to share my journey because it was non-traditional. And I've gotten a lot of messages saying that now. Like, I know, a few of my friends wrote me and said, "Hey, 2 of my friends did the same thing you're doing, and they're awesome." And, so they know somebody that's also done it. So I think as we're progressing forward, it's being more welcomed, but still there's a little stigma on it, because some people think, you're ruining the Black nuclear family.
Yeah.
But another thing I really want to put the importance on is, just because you're a single mother by choice, that does not mean that you never are open to a relationship with a man, like a guy. It's not the end all be all. And I really do feel like the right person I'll connect with the right person when it's the right time.
Yeah.
I'm not closed off forever. I've seen single mothers by choices that started out that way, and then they end up married, or they end up in a relationship. And it's not the end all be all. I don't know. I think some people think that, like, "Oh, you had a kid, you're ruined now." I don't know. Like, people could be a little.
Do you think
weird.
If you got married, you would let your spouse adopt your daughter?
At first, I said yes, but I don't know. I have to make sure that this person is somebody I can trust. But I remember at first just not even thinking about it. I was like, "Yeah, we'll adopt her so we can all have the same last name." But that's not a good reason to have.
Do you know that she could have his last name without being adopted?
How?
You could just change her name.
Oh.
Go to the courthouse and change her name.
His last name is
exactly. But so it's actually crazy, because like in one of the single mom by choice like groups, a woman talked about how she had her baby as a single mom by choice. She got married. I
think I know. I saw the story.
Did you see the story?
Yeah, and then they're not together anymore.
She let her husband adopt the baby. Now they're getting divorced, and he doesn't want to tell the baby about her true, like, genetic background.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my goodness.
We would have to be on the same page with that beforehand. I'm sorry. Like, yeah. I mean,
so it's a no for me, dog.
Yeah, it's a no for you. You wouldn't
No.
have that guy adoptive. Yeah.
No.
That's why I was like, at first
No.
I said yes, but now I'm like, that's my child. And I went into it with my child, and God forbid if our marriage breaks up, that's gonna still be my child.
It's not even just about possession. It's like I did all of this so that I wouldn't put my kids in a position where, I don't know, that there could be this huge break.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing it anyway. And I don't ever want to argue over my kids in court.
Yes, I know.
Like,
that's my biggest fear.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. All right, well, thanks for joining me today, though.
Yes, absolutely. This was so much fun. I'm so glad I was able to share my story, and we were able to just have this talk about it. Like, I'm so glad about this podcast too, and I'm glad that more people will be listening to it, and it'll just be something where, people will get a lot more information about.
Yeah, that's what I keep saying. I'm like, I didn't know what I was looking for when I was looking for it.
Yeah.
In 2020 and 2019, when I was 26, like there was no one who looked like me. There was no one who was my age. There was no one.
Yeah. Yeah. And now it's just like the community is just
it's growing and growing and growing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully more people can see themselves on this path, if it's the path for them, not like And I also want to make it clear, like, we're not out here trying to recruit people into becoming single mom. Please come be a single mom by choice. No, like,
it's more like support if you already have that in
if that's what you want to do. Yeah, there's people who are like you and doing it and happy. So
yes, I love
Wait, I never asked you.
Yes,
I don't know why I thanked you for being on the episode. I never asked you what you wish you knew before you started, and a word of advice.
Okay, what I wish I knew before, because I'm not, like, my baby's not here earthside yet, but I guess the journey, I wish I would have known that it wasn't going to be as A to B, there was going to be a lot of, there was no straight line. There was a journey in between. It was a lot of ups and downs and breaks and stuff like that, and lots of money for these fertility treatments. So yeah, I wish I knew more about that. I wish I knew it took possibly more than one cycle to actually get to baby. And I guess a word of advice, it would be to really just do your research. And there's going to be times where your mind is like, because this was years. I mean, some people know for sure from when they're born that they want to be a single mother by choice, or some people know at a certain age that they want to be a single mother by choice. But then there's those women that are like, I think I want a partner. I think I want a single mother by choice. And they toggle in between that. And I guess just getting grounded and knowing exactly what you want to do, get to that and just stay focused on that. I know for me, I kind of went back and forth, especially in 2023, when things got hard and I was like, okay, I think I want to date again and just see where that goes. But I just kept coming back to the single mom. Like, it just kept coming back.
Yeah.
So I decided to just focus on that. So just focus on that, stay focused on it, and just go after it. I mean, I know people meet guys all the time, but it's like, if you have that in your heart, I definitely say go after that for sure.
Yeah.
A guy can come and go, but your desire to be a mother and the time and
it takes
to get there is not going to always be easy.
Yeah.
Not always.
Yeah. Definitely it's not. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all
right.
That's my advice.
All right. All right. Yeah. Thanks for listening to Who's the Daddy with Alexandra K. Share this episode if you think that Lori's story would resonate with anyone that you know, and keep discovering and choosing the best path for you in your life.